Well, the phrase "run it straight" is part of rugby league culture, especially over the ditch in Australia. It basically means charging full speed into someone who's going to try and stop you in your tracks. The trend has been popping up on social media for years, but it's in many cases it's gone viral. And the challenge has been fairly controversial due to its violent nature, which by the rugby league textbooks would see a player sent off and receive a several-week ban for a dangerous tackle. Now, two groups, Run It Straight Official and Run It Championship League, have turned this trend into a full-blown business. Run It hosted its first official competition last week with $20,000 up for grabs. Not everyone's cheering. One top Aussie sports neuroscientist, Dr. Alan Pearce, says this is seriously dangerous and potentially life-threatening. He's warning that every time someone takes part, they could be shaving years off their life. Well, one man that knows all about running it straight and took a few fair knocks himself is former Kiwi League star and businessman Dean Lonergan. Dino!
Hello, Pineapple. I've hardly called me a Kiwi League star, but I had a crack every now and then.
I thought you'd like that. I was having a giggle.
Now, hey, are you hearing an echo? I'm in a room where they have interviews, and it's like I'm in a toilet, but I'm not. Is it okay?
No.
Is it coming across okay?
You sound great. Just don't flush.
Oh, there you go.
And then we'll know.
I'm not in the toilet. I can promise you that.
Hey, Dino, though, but you were a recipient, weren't you, of a few bad head knocks in your day?
Yeah, I did have a couple, and I've been watching this thing Run It Straight quite closely. It's been fascinating because of, for God knows what reason, because I keep tapping on it when it comes up on my Facebook feed or Instagram feed. They're just feeding me lots and lots of it. It's an interesting concept where you get two guys, and it looks like they've got different weight classes, but mainly what I've seen is a super heavyweight class where you've got boys 120, 130, 140 kilos running full speed at each other. And obviously emulating to some degree what happens in rugby league. The difference is these guys on the whole are complete amateurs. They haven't got any great technique, and you can tell by the way they run and by the way they tackle, they're not overly good at what they do. They just let sheer force rule. Now, the problem you've got is this. You've got two guys who are closing in on each other at probably 16 kilometres each, right? So that's up to 30, 32 kilometres. You've got 240 kilos plus coming together. Now, what happens is the bodies stop, but the brains keep moving forward. Now, the unfortunate thing is I've seen on at least maybe 6 or 7 of these things, you've got guys who are being concussed, they're getting knocked out, their arms are going straight, which from what I can see is a semi-form of an epileptic fit. And I do think it's, while I find it immensely entertaining, I look at it and go, this is the stupidest thing I've seen in my life. And you're talking about a bloke who has promoted boxing to a large degree, played in rugby league, and at least those sports have governing bodies and they have a certain set of rules that you have to adhere to, and you've got restrictions, what have you, put in place. These, from what I can see, are two totally unregulated games, and you're actually incentivized to hit the guys high. And if I was involved in this, I'd be taking them around the head, because, mate, that's where you're going to do the most amount of damage. And the problem you run into is it's going to lead to, and is already leading to, serious head injuries, simply because you can see guys get knocked out. And unfortunately, they're celebrating this by playing this over and over again. Now, I saw one of these things where a guy got knocked out, had 3.3 million views, right? So now they've managed to monetize this, which is pretty, good luck to it. It's hard to make money in sports promotion, but I think it's going to be fascinating to see if a government can come down and shut these guys down for dangerous activities, because you've got consenting people who want to do this, right? And some of these guys, none of them look young. Like, they all look 20 plus, and I guess that is young compared to my fat old ass. But they're big, strong units coming together. And in rugby league, you'd say, well, this happens all the time. To some degree, it does and it doesn't. Very rarely do you get guys who just take it up straight. And if they do, you've got guys who are tackling who are well used to, to doing this, and they have techniques involved which make it manageable for both sides to handle the collision, right? And every now and then, you do get big tackles where guys get hurt, right? But let's have a look over the course of one weekend or indeed a year. You're talking thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of tackles made, And while they're injuries, it's nowhere near to the extent that I'm starting to see in this particular thing where people getting knocked out is celebrated. And I think it's just flat out stupid. And, mate, you're talking about a bloke who promoted and participated in boxing and rugby league for a long time. So that says something.
Dino, I'm with you. And you brought up really valid points because I watched a little bit of it and it's brutal. And I do think it's stupid. And there's a couple of things here. Like I remembered when, MMA was called barbaric and why do people do it and that should be banned. But at least the athletes, they've got skills. And as you mentioned, even and with boxing, you've got rules. They're athletes. They know what happens. But I think too about my dearly departed friend Dr. John Mayhew would be turning in his grave watching this. We talked a lot about CTE. As a brain disorder likely caused by repeated head injuries. This is crazy town.
What I can tell you is this, Pineapple, is that the more the mainstream media and even not so much mainstream but social media take issue with this, the more it's going to be promoted, the more people are going to get into it because people like to see real danger. They like to see real outcomes. I don't think they want to see people get intentionally hurt, but unfortunately that's exactly what's going to happen from here. So, look, it's going to be fascinating to see how this thing develops. I find myself attracted to it from a viewer point of view, like watching it, and I'm entertained by it, but I'm also horrified by the injuries and the outcomes because if you have a look at the generation of rugby league players I played with, just ahead of me, there's a whole lot of guys starting to get dementia now and CTE, like Kevin Carmody, you're talking Mario Fennick, Ray Price, these are guys internationally, Roy Simmons, I think, as well, and there's quite a few in Australia starting to come to the fore that you're going to hear more and more about. And, mate, it's not so much in the next 1, 2 or 3 years, but it's in 5 and 10 years' time. Now, the one thing in these guys' favour is that they're not taking what you consider maybe 20 or 30 tackles a game over the course of a career. Like, my gut feel is they're probably doing maybe 10 or 15 hit-ups tops, and they might do it once a month or once every 2 months, because I think we've only had one of these competitions to date.
Yeah.
But I've certainly seen it in a more disorganised way over a period of time. But if there's money to be made, people are going to participate and people are going to organise it, and they're going to keep going until some safeguards are brought into line by New Zealand. I imagine it will be the Accident Compensation Corporation because they will be monitoring injuries. And here's the thing, it's not just head injuries, Pineapple.
Yes.
You've got guys who are absolutely enormous running at full speed at each other, hitting in different places around the body. Now, you're hitting the ribs, there's going to end up with broken ribs, you're going to end up with broken sternums, you're going to end up with dislocated shoulders, you're going to have necks put out. There's going to be a whole lot of injuries go with this that you're not seeing at the moment. I can guarantee you these guys they're not showing exactly who's getting injured. They won't be doing diagnostics on it to see how can we make this safer, because it's a gladiatorial edge to this that makes it interesting and popular. It's the same thing in the NFL. The NFL wear their big shoulders and their helmets, and they think that protects them when it doesn't. It actually makes the game more gladiatorial because they think they're being protected with those big things that they have on, so you see them crash tackling all the time. They are the reason they get so badly injured and so concussed and so much CTE like they've got, and they've had a multi-billion-dollar payout in the NFL. Yeah. It's the gladiatorial edge that makes this entertaining, so people will continue to watch as you see these injuries happen. It's quite morbid and macabre, but it is what it is.
Human nature, Dino? We just
it is indeed, Pineapple.
Go back to the gladiator days. Hey, so it's not a sport; it's a social media slam dunk, really, I reckon, and it's all about the hits in both ways, and also ultimately the money, I would say.
Of course, look, it's about people love the social media exposure, right? It's chance for people who in the past haven't been able to get famous, and they get famous in their own sort of little lifetime. And, mate, that becomes appealing to them. So it'd be fascinating, Leah, to get on board one of the promoters of these, whether it be Run It Straight or Run It Through or whatever they're called. Get the promoters on and see what they've got to say and bring these same questions up. And what I've noticed is in Australia, I think Channel 7, which is a major broadcaster over there, asked the promoters to come on and have a talk, and they refused, right? What they should do is front up and put their 2 cents across, because at the end of the day, they're not forcing anybody to do anything.
No. They've
got willing participants who want to, A, make money, and B, be famous, in their own lifetime. So, and with 3.3 million views on single post social media, their opportunity to get famous is actually there.